Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Vincenello Show on WJJL 1440. And you can reach us live at 297-1059, 297-1059. And again, it's the Vincenello Show. And we can have a very interesting show today, or it can be a disaster, because in a few minutes I'm going to report on the council meeting last night. It was a very interesting meeting, for me anyway. I hope everybody else found it as interesting. But first, let me, we're not going to do a coffee shop report, because I truly believe that what happened at the meeting last night is pretty important, and getting the facts straight is certainly important, especially when we're talking about a very important city business. The $2 fee for, in case you lose your bill and you want to go pay a bill over at City Hall, if you need a copy, if you want a copy, or they're going to ask you to have a copy, it's a $2 fee. When I got up to speak on that, what I said was, well, if I go in and want to pay my bill and I don't have a copy of my bill, and all I want to do is pay my bill, and all I want is a receipt, what's the issue then? But that was just to kind of lighten what was going on at the meeting last night. And then later on, we can also, if we have time, we can also speak on a particular speaker who got up and was concerned about the road repair in the city of Niagara Falls. Not how many roads we do, but the method that we use and how we follow up on regular maintenance, which, to be honest with you, I've been criticizing that since I was on the council back in the mid-'90s. And this is not a reflection on the employees. This is a reflection on the fact that we never consider training, Department of Public Works people. The veterans have retired, the ones that really learn the stuff from the ground up. They're not put in a position to train other people other than to boss them around, because that's how you work your way into the system. Seniority makes you a crew leader or this or that or the other thing, whether you understand the job or not, or whether you learn the job or not, because you know yourself, it can happen where you go 30 years in a particular job and never really learn the whole job the way you're supposed to, So I think this issue about road repair reflects on the fact that, unfortunately, a lot of guys try to do a good job, but they're not shown the proper way of doing a good job. And one of the things that was brought up is what I brought up on the show a number of times is, paving streets or cracks on the road. You don't go back to seal them when you see all the communities around us making that a summer project every year, and they don't seal those cracks, and before you know it, you have potholes. We have streets that have been repaired or remilled and paved in the last 5-6 years that now look like they've never been touched in the last 20. That has all to do with the application of those materials. And, I remember back during the Ely administration, I was on the council too, and I brought up just a simple question as a councilman, like, what's the process of fixing a pothole? Because, we've always had complaints about potholes, even though we've invested now a lot more money, and certainly the aggravation has subsided. And I just asked the question, what's the process? And the department head at that time really tore into me, now I'm going to have a city councilman telling me how to do potholes. Well, I was confident in the fact that I probably knew more about fixing a pothole than he did, because that wasn't his background. I mean, he never worked construction, and I doubt very much he sat there and watched or researched how those things are done. But I did, and I have. I enjoyed doing things like that. And but again, last night I spoke at the city council meeting, and according to the reaction from some, I really stepped in it. The adverse reaction was to my comments that were understood as an opposition to agenda item number 5. That agenda item is a memorandum of understanding between the City of Niagara Falls and the police lieutenants and captains, and that's about 29 individuals. Some of the members of the police brass negotiating team were very upset with my remarks. They rightly pointed out that as mayor, I approved a similar deal, and in fact, it may have been a more lucrative deal for the Niagara Falls Fire Department. I also pointed out that similar negotiations are ongoing for the remaining 130 members of the police department. The motion was tabled 3-2. My assumption is, and was last night, that the two council members that voted not to table the motion were in favor of the agenda item number 5. It was apparent to me that they should have shared that level of confidence with their colleagues, because I didn't find that level of confidence with the others. It's the mayor's job to make sure that all 5 members of the city council are confident, or at the very least understand what they're voting for. On important items like this, items that commit the city for reoccurring cost, a reoccurring revenue should be identified at the time of the vote. For instance, if it's something that's going to last so many years or it's going to last forever, which a lot of these things do, where are you going to get the money from? And there's nothing wrong with trying to at least give an idea of which direction you're going. If council members have any outstanding questions that haven't been answered to their full satisfaction, they should be expressed publicly and answered publicly. Something as simple as, this question does not apply to this issue, for me, this would be satisfaction enough. Only at this point can taxpayers be assured that the mayor and the council members are doing their job. I'm not against the Memorandum of Understanding. I'm disturbed by the level of disrespect shown by the mayor and some members of the city council for those taxpayers that want to know more, want to understand better, and ask questions to accomplish those goals. This morning, the negotiating teams for both police unions may be very angry at me for my remarks last night. The council members that were ready to support this agenda item may be very angry at me for my remarks. I believe that we should all be angry at the fact that this administration is not transparent and it is forever in a CYA mode. In the meantime, the union involved with the Department of Public Works and Parks is ignored, challenged, asked to do more with less, get no training, asked to take concessions, and forced to work regularly in what I'm told in many times a hostile work environment. If you don't believe me, go file a FOIL of copies of cash settlements with employees in the last 5 years that charged just that. So again, the point I'm trying to make here is, we all require city services. That's what the government is there for: public health, safety, fixing the roads, and so on and so forth. But for year after year, knowing that the cost of delivering those services increases, and never ask, where are we getting the money from? Or how much is this going to cost 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, or 20 years from now? It's totally ridiculous. That's why we're in trouble. That's why we're in trouble even with the casino money that we receive. And the Financial Advisory Committee stated the fact that by 2019, we might not have enough casino money to support the services of the city. So guess what, folks? We know what revenues we receive. We know what expenses that we have. What's wrong with explaining to the public that this is what we expect to get in revenue? This is what we expect the cost of the services to be delivered are going to be, and we have to make the rest of it up with taxpayers' money, because that's exactly what happens. And if it doesn't happen now, it's going to happen twice as bad 5, 10 years from now. Caller, you're on.
Morning, Vince.
Good morning.